Yes.
Get it, 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 get it.
Highlight.
Apparently.
If that's not in the highlight reel, I'm not watching.
People are dumb. That's all I'm going to say about the internet.
Wow.
Dylan.
Dumb. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not,
Dylan.
we actually were mentioning this when we were in Vegas this last weekend, that as you get older, you tend to become more cynical, and I hate that. I don't like that trait. It's not my favorite quality, but it seems like it's a very easy thing to fall into because people are dumb.
True.
People
You have to make an effort.
Where's this coming from?
No, because I consider myself I'm an optimistic realist. And I think it's people a lot of times confuse being a realist for being a cynic, but I adamantly try to avoid it. But it's just because it's so easy to see how people can take something and be like, oh yeah, that seems like it's good and well intentioned, but you're like, that's gonna be a terrible idea. I think it's really easy to fall into that. You guys agree?
Whatever, Dylan.
I see the best in everybody, and I think, I just think that
I'm
Yeah,
a
good job,
pessimistic idealist.
I'm a drunk.
Oh
Oh no, we lost him.
And that's what helps.
the end of that guy. No, the reason I mentioned the reason I mentioned that is because today we're going to talk about English proverbs. Do you guys know what that is? You guys know what that is?
Please.
It's an old wooden ship.
It's an old ship. So no, English proverbs are like old sayings, like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Those type of things that you've heard.
Two in George Bush.
Yeah. Or like old common phrases that you hear throughout your life that I believe are well-intentioned for good, optimistic, and inspiring effect. But once you sit down to think about them, they are probably actually not that smart or that well thought out.
Can you give us an example? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, the best example that we've actually talked about before is the one of no regrets. People say no regrets, and we, as mentioned in the other podcast, we talked about this. That's a stupid thing to say.
Why?
Because it's okay to have regrets. It's totally fine. And if you don't have any regrets, are you perfect? I know Cody's perfect, but he has regrets.
Cody, you don't have a single regret?
What do you regret, Cody?
Oh, I bet he does.
Don't ask me that.
Optimistic about
Dude,
it.
I think we just got done hearing a lot of your regrets. And that's an inside joke on a podcast, and I don't care.
And we'll share later in 5 months.
Yeah.
So I have a list here of very classic phrases that we've all heard, I guarantee, multiple times, and we're going to dissect them and say that these need to change. Again, these are well-intentioned, but I do think these are stupid in nature.
I think, yes, I think a more accurate description would be naive.
Sure.
Because I know where you're going, and I think people believe them, but it's just because they'd like to believe them, not because experience has taught them to believe them. And in case, it's hard to fathom that someone's listening now would actually not hear every single other podcast we've done. But if they haven't heard the no regrets one, Luke, why wouldn't that be a accurate statement for someone to say if they weren't naive?
Yeah, Luke.
Explain.
Let me think about this.
Dude, we're live.
People are anxiously awaiting for our answer.
Let me think for about half an hour.
I'll get back to you.
Well, because you can always do better. You can always learn from your mistakes, and like you should have things in your life that you're like, shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that, or that like I think what that proverb, as you call it, is trying to say is try and live without regrets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
Right.
you should live without regrets.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's you want to aim for a life without regrets, but which is impossible. But it's you're right. It's naive to think like my life is perfect.
I haven't made any mistakes.
Yeah, and I think what gets to the heart of it, because the one comeback that someone would have to what we're saying is, well, I learned something. But that gets to the heart of it, is there's been things that we've all done that we knew at the time we shouldn't have done. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because what that's implying is everything I've done, if it was bad, I was unaware at the time. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn, and then from then on out, I never did it again. No. we've all done something that was explicitly not necessarily evil, but ill-advised, and that's just being human. Some people do it more than others, but we've all done something bad with our eyes open, and therefore we all have regrets.
Oh, well,
We all
it's also-
have demons.
Yeah, well, it's like, well, it's the same as if has anybody ever made the same mistake twice? I'm sure they
Yeah,
have.
exactly.
So if,
Never.
Yeah, I mean, well, we keep making this podcast over.
Have you
and
made
over.
the same? Have you,
Yeah, what number of podcasts is this? That's how many regrets we have.
have you
48.
ever made the same mistake once?
See, well, there's a proverb for you.
something to think about. Every mistake I've made at least 40 something, 40 odd.
You're
Baker's
lucky to
dozen.
have that.
All right. So here's another famous proverb that we've heard: "Money can't buy happiness."
Oh well, that's just true.
True.
They're not shopping at the right places.
Well, here's the thing: is that I actually
At the boat store.
I do agree with this on the surface level of this statement. Money literally cannot buy you happiness. It's not like you can go transact with someone and say, "Give me happiness."
Dude, have you ever been to the dollar store?
So
I
on a
can
very
buy so much
simplistic
Wrigley's
term,
gum.
I think on a very superficial level, no, it cannot. But I couldn't disagree with this more in terms of how it's, I guess, phrased. It's like money can make your life easier, for sure.
Well,
tell that to somebody in Africa who doesn't have like any money at all, is like starving. It's like, come on, like,
Because a sandwich is happiness at that point. Yeah.
there's an
It is, that's true.
there's an ellipses at the end of that. It should be money can't buy you happiness, but it certainly buys you a lot less stress in life.
Yeah, and you know what? In most cases, it may be unfortunate. Less stress to me is like happy.
yeah, exactly.
might
Which
as well be
equates a lot of the times
Yeah,
to
yeah,
happiness.
yeah.
So it kind of does.
Yeah, it's like I don't need a yacht. I just need to not be super stressed out.
There was a quote in a book that I read, a financial book, and it was like,
Nobody poops.
"Nobody poops." That's what it was called.
Dude, not relevant.
It was like, money won't buy you happiness, but it will make you awfully comfortable while you're being miserable.
I think maybe I've heard that too. Yeah, it's so true.
yeah.
Yeah, it can buy you superficial stuff that's not important that you use just to peacock around. Sure, it's not like it can't, but at the same time, to assume that's all it buys you says more about you than it does the rich person. Because in the end, let's say your wife gets cancer. I would like to be able to afford any medical care that the best medical care that money can buy. And in that circumstance, relatively, money can buy me happiness. And anyone who says otherwise isn't able to make that same amount of money and is probably a bit bitter about it.
Are you bitter about it, Cody?
And they work at J.C. Penney, probably.
Well,
Now, they got this 401k.
that's great. All right, let's move on to
100%
the next
match.
one. Live every day like it's your last.
Well, this is like a YOLO thing. That
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very similar. It's very similar to the no regrets.
If I did, then it would be my last.
Dude, I've never heard it said better.
Yeah, I think that's like why that phrase is like it's such a young person.
Well,
to
first
say.
of all, what the hell would you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would drink
Drink
like
on-
no other.
Well, yeah, if you lived every day
So,
like
like
it was your
pizza?
last, you'd quit your job immediately. You'd be unemployed immediately.
Well, there's a Lonely Island parody of this, and it's all like YOLO, right? It's the same thing,
Right.
and it's all about like how like you just need to be as safe as possible,
It's your last day.
or like you only live once, so be as careful as possible.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you don't get. There's no like video game respawning. So don't run with scissors. Don't drive without a seatbelt. It's the exact opposite of what everyone takes YOLO to mean. Yeah, every day like your last means you will live like a drug addict.
You're gonna do all the things that you always wanted to do, and you're probably gonna go on a spree or something like that. Maybe not that extent, but
No, yeah. In fact, I've had personal experience with someone because I'm pretty driven by money, and someone actually accused me of like was like pretty explicitly judgmental actually about it to me because you can't you can't take your riches to heaven, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, cool. So you like your passion is your 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, it's because you have to afford rent and food and healthcare and retirement. Meaning, I'm not saying I could take it wherever I go when I die, I'm just saying that I'll make more than you do, and we'll have better healthcare and better food and whatever.
But you can't take it with you.
It's true, unless you're buried with it. I actually just learned that.
Then it goes with you.
Yeah, yeah.
you can
King
take
Tut did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next one. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Sometimes you need to give some constructive criticism.
Don't say anything bad.
I feel like
Joe, shut your mouth.
Okay.
I feel like that's that was said by a preschool teacher.
Yeah.
Wasn't it in Bambi that like?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it was.
Again, like we've
Oh,
all
yeah, it
heard
was,
this
yeah.
a billion times, and again, I'm pretty sure it was well intentioned. But the phrase, the second you start to dissect it a little bit, you go, well, "What are you talking about?" Half the things that people say, if we only said nice things, we'd all be liars. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just live in fantasy land. Like, let's just pretend everything's great. It's like no, like if someone does something bad, you can't just be like, "Well, that's a good thing you did that." What are you talking about? You can
Or
criticize people for things.
yeah. Or what if someone's like mugging you?
Exactly.
They're like, oh, I've only mugged mutes.
or like working with you and doing a horrible job, or like
Yeah.
like something that needs criticism.
I guess mimes must be just full
Yeah.
of.
Exactly.
They took it literally.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, well.
They don't have anything good to say.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
super pissed off.
That one is very contextual.
Yeah. Again, I think maybe that was something that started like as a preschool thing, or just got like it's probably best for like kids, but they kind of go, oh, well, I guess you can say something, just be a little, don't be such a
They'll learn.
immature about it or something.
Well,
Like
in fact, I think it was Abraham Lincoln.
that. Here we go.
What?
Are you just gonna like quote?
Dude, you guys don't believe that I have a relevant Abraham Lincoln quote?
7 years.
Yeah.
No, he said, when it comes to wives and girlfriends, quite the opposite. Say as much as you can
To them.
that's negative.
That was Richard Nixon.
Well, because they...
That was Nixon.
Duh.
You just repeated that in every State of the Union address. Criticize your women.
For sure. All right, here we go. Next one. You can do anything if you set your mind to it.
Yeah, like fly.
I can, Dylan. I can.
Teleport.
You know what? I believe you.
See, like this is like said in like a lot of like celebrities say this. You can do anything if you just set your mind to it. And you go, well, hold on. Like you just said, can I fly? You know, and they're like, oh, you can get in a plane. I'm like, no, I physically want to fly without the plane. Well, you just need to set your mind to it.
I like having a full-on debate.
Yeah.
No, you're not listening.
About supernatural powers.
Well, you need to set your mind to. You can do anything. You're like, oh, hold on. Like, hey,
Well, this is contextual because when we were in Vegas and we were playing beer pong, I was imagining myself and thinking, like, you know what? I'm going to make this one. You
I was
know
doing the
what?
same thing.
It happened. When I felt good
happened.
about it.
yeah, you set your mind to it. Did
Set
you?
my mind to it, and it worked. Before that, I was just like, eh.
So you're saying nothing's impossible. That's I guess it's like
No,
it's similar
I'm
to this
saying
Dude,
beer
he's-
pong is possible.
one. If you visualize,
if you visualize the ball going in the cup.
No, actually, what's funny is that's no jokes aside. That is how a lot of basketball players they're taught to think. In fact, there's been many interviews with Michael Jordan, and that was exactly he said he would visualize the track of the ball. And no joke, ever since I heard that, I did the same thing in beer pong.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of
trajectory?
sports.
Yeah,
Golf
yeah.
does that. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
so do you guys think that that's actually a true
which
statement?
makes
In
that,
that case,
statement 100% true,
But not within the realm of reality.
unless you visualize it.
I mean, yeah, but that depends on how cynical you are. I don't know. Like, I feel like now more than ever, yes. Like you have, like I feel like everybody has fairly equal opportunity to like if you pursue something, you're gonna be able to do it. Not in the not so distant past. Maybe not so much.
Well, and here's the thing: is like speaking of basketball, it's like if I, 6'2" white guy,
Dude,
I'm like,
you
I
get
want to
it.
play. I
Jeez,
want to play
stop
in the
bragging.
NBA. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Yeah,
I'm like if I set my mind to being a professional basketball player, I don't care how much I practice or how much I played. It's never gonna happen.
yeah, I don't know.
Never
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Right.
There's just some things that are just it is not possible no matter how much you think about it.
or
Not gonna
like
happen.
or like really things like that are very very exclusive,
yeah.
like being an astronaut. How many astronauts are there?
Yeah,
and like
there's-
what does it take? It's like you could probably train your entire life from childhood to
Right.
become an astronaut and not be picked to be an astronaut.
It's
Luke,
just
you
not
don't
gonna
believe that I could be an astronaut?
If you set your mind to it,
Bless
Josh,
you,
you could
sir.
do it. No, to me, it's like it's very simple. There's a lot of things that doesn't matter what you set your mind to, it will never happen.
Right.
It's okay to accept that. It's just, but there's a lot of things that you probably don't realize you can do if you do set your mind to it.
Yeah.
But me and Scarlett Johansson will be together. We'll be together forever. No, we'll be together
You
forever.
would not like her after a
and
while.
she'll be so jealous.
on the brighter side of that, though, if you the old adage comes to mind: if you shoot for the what is it? Shoot,
So the stars land on the moon,
yeah, shoot for the stars, land on the moon. So,
which I am a big proponent of.
yeah,
Because it's like, okay, my goal is to become checker at the local supermarket.
right.
It's like, all right, if you don't hit that, you are destitute. But if your goal is to become a neurosurgeon, if you don't hit that, chances are you're if you get in the vicinity,
You can be
You're
an
still
MD.
a doctor or
well,
something.
yeah,
close.
or you're still in a worthwhile career,
Or at least track.
doing well
Yeah,
for
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm a big fan of this.
I go for shoot for the moon, land on the earth.
I go shoot for the couch, land on the bed.
That's the only thing habitable right now. Go and shoot for the couch, land on the bed.
Those are the way around. Shoot for the bed and land on the couch.
Yeah. Well, shoot for the couch, land on the love seat. Let's keep going. How many? How many more?
We got a few
Futon chair.
more. All
Yep.
right, here we go. This is another one, kind of like the preschool one that we mentioned. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's stupid.
Yeah, that's totally incorrect.
Yeah, because
Dude, I'll take a bat to the knees than one accurate criticism.
Yeah.
well, first of all, I like to. I
Like a painful.
I never did understand this phrase. I'm like, whose bones have been broken by a stick? Do you know anybody
I'm
who's
sure
like,
that has happened.
if it's
before.
been a big stick, then it's a branch. You
Well,
idiot.
bats are made out of sticks.
That's a bat, not a stick. I'm
But
thinking like a twig.
It's just a smooth stick, dude.
Yeah. Piece of wood, long, narrow.
Next time I see a
whittled
tree, I'm gonna
stick.
be like, "That's a big stick, dude."
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna see just this big winery. This place is made out of sticks.
Man, one big stick. Yeah.
It's like, of course, words can hurt you. Like the fact that you want to pretend that they can't. Like
Well, I don't like. Let's put it this. I don't fear weapons. All I fear is words.
well, right. I think that's why.
I would much rather be mugged with a with a switchblade than for one person to give me feedback on anything I've ever done.
On their opinion.
It is
of me.
the worst thing ever.
Yeah, because I'll be like, "Oh, I'm bleeding. That hurts." Like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to the hospital, and I won't have to talk to anybody or face any part of my character."
All right.
What if you went to the hospital and it was like, only morons get stabbed?
Just pepper spray right in the face.
Freaking mystery nurse.
Madeline?
Yeah.
All right. Next one. There are no dumb questions. Of course there are. There's plenty of dumb questions.
Yeah, if my boss was here.
He's heard more dumb questions, or he has dumb questions.
No, no. It would just be a long list of dumb questions from me
Oh.
and no one else they've ever met.
Just things. What are some of the questions you ask him?
Well, I'm joking, but there actually was one time where I don't think I read an email all the way through, and he wanted me to proofread it, and he's like, "Just let me know before I send it out." This is my previous boss. My current boss is a female. The previous boss is a male, and he was like, just proofread it for me before I send it out.
Right.
And I was like, okay, cool. Read it, and I asked a question, and I just don't think I read it closely enough. And literally, he looked at me and he was like, "There are dumb questions." And he was like, it was like one of those like, I'm joking, but I'm not joking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, well, if you can find a hole for me to kind of live in for the next couple months.
To be fair, when someone says there are no dumb questions when you want to ask a question, it does make you feel a lot better.
Absolutely.
Because you're like, okay, at least I know that whatever dumb question I'm about to ask, you won't, hit me for it.
Yeah.
Or like make fun of me. Because I think we've all been in a situation where you do definitely ask a dumb question and someone's just like, it's okay.
It's more about creating a safe environment than stating something that is a truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that's what most of these are, I think, is like they're creating fake
A
environments.
safe
that's like against,
space for the people.
maybe it is a
Oh
safe
my God.
space.
You know what? Now that you say that,
I think that's actually a lot of what these are. Is just supposed to, again, well-intentioned,
Rules
bad.
for utopian society.
Well, no, I would say
Utopia.
most of what we've gone through are blatant inaccuracies or untruths. That one is far more subjective and said often not because there's honestly no dumb questions. It's saying don't hold back.
So why are these so common then? If we all know these are so inaccurate, then why are these all?
Because most of them feed our ego. I have no regrets. That makes me feel good. Let's put it this way. There are going to be no common sayings that are humbling.
Right.
And then there was actually quite a few that I had seen that I can't think of it right now off the top of my head. But
Shocker!
Just like proverb, or like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Like that's a classic one.
Sure, but I wouldn't. I would say it's neutral. It just means that you need to be patient.
I'm sure there's got to be dozens of phrases that we've heard that are. You go, yeah, that's pretty true.
Pretty sure I can look through the Zen book and
Oh
find.
yeah, like, there's a whole Zen book there. Of
No,
things
no.
that-
In fact,
gibberish.
one of my biggest frustrations is not being able to find something to describe a truth that's not a cliche, because cliches are often dismissed.
Right.
And most of them are really true. But the things that we've gone through so far are more like they're not cliches as much as they are sayings about things that no one's really thought about. Mm-hmm. Which I guess you could apply to cliches anyways.
Right. All right, let's try another one here. Rules are made to be broken. A little trickier on this one.
Now, when it comes to the judge telling me...
Arnold Schwarzenegger said to break the rules, not the law.
He did say that.
I like that. I've never heard that before.
I do.
He
I like
said,
that
break
too.
the rules, don't break the law. Yeah. He also said that he wanted to be an inspiration, not a role model.
He also said that something was very similar to getting a pump.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. This one, like
He also said, hey, maid, get in here.
I'm hungry. What was the phrase that you came up with? I have an appetite.
I have a certain appetite. Yeah. You're the nearest one. Shut the door.
Oh man.
oh, classic. See, this one, I think, like, this goes back to like the money can't buy happiness one, which is literally on a very basic level. Like, I can agree that there should be rules that you can break, but I feel like the reason rules are there is so that you don't break them. Like they create barriers, and they go, "We got to break through the barriers." And I'm like,
I don't think any of these are meant to be taken literally, but I don't know.
Some people, I think, try to mean them literally because
Yeah.
it feeds their ego. Rules are meant to be broken, I think, is something that represents, like, don't be a sheep.
Right, exactly. Make your own rules.
Yeah.
Change the game.
Or like be open to going outside the box to use another cliche. But like look, when it comes to like don't murder people, it's not like that was made to challenge you
That's a law.
to murdering as many people as possible.
Only murder the right people.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
decide.
But me personally, I'm a big believer in that, which I'm sure you guys are aware of.
Rules
I'm not
Yeah.
too sensitive to.
You're pretty sensitive.
That's
Yeah.
true. I will tear up.
you just be crying.
It says no running. F that sign.
Slip,
Run all day.
break my noggin.
As you snuck into the Vegas buffet without
Yeah.
paying.
Yeah, you literally
Yeah.
did that.
Well, yeah, that's just the most recent one. Yeah. It honestly is. No, I'm a big believer. Look, I look up to people who that like just full steam ahead,
Challenge the status quo.
bull in a china shop, but not arbitrarily. Not like I'm just rebelling because I'm a teenager. It's I'm gonna take a objective look at this, and if I truly don't believe that this is a good rule and it's actually inhibiting me, like Steve Jobs is a very common example of this, and I think it served him well.
So you don't believe it was right of you to pay for the buffet?
I'm saying I couldn't afford it. No, what's funny is, as much as I would like to use that as an example of what I'm trying to say. I literally didn't know I was supposed to pay.
Yeah.
No, I honestly, well,
You didn't. You thought you were just walking to give
if
you
you
food.
if you take my state of mind at the time,
Yeah.
I wasn't.
You were pretty coherent.
No, I honestly saw you guys, and I was like, "That's where I need to be. Here's where I am." Beeline, and I sat down, and I thought we're staying in the hotel.
We get
Free
food.
No, no joke.
how it
That's
works.
exactly what I thought. I thought this was included in the room. Until the
Never
nice,
been to Vegas before. Have you?
yeah, until the nice gentleman approached me.
The nice armed guard.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you paid?
All right, next one. There's no use crying over spilled milk.
Not sure what that means.
Was
As
the
in,
milk
like,
bad?
Certain things, I guess the way I interpret
Don't sweat
this,
the small
outside
stuff.
from
Don't
the
sweat small
literal
stuff.
connotation, if I spill milk, I might cry about it. I think it's just saying like over the mundane things, no use crying about it. But I'm like, I don't know.
I actually agree with that.
But what if you only have a little bit of milk?
I was gonna say there's got to be some things where like we've all like crying is healthy. So if something happens that it's like the most mundane thing, and you need to cry, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But I do agree that you shouldn't cry over any time the milk spills. Or else
I don't
you're
think
gonna
it's.
cry.
Well, it has nothing to do with milk.
Whoa!
But it says milk in the sentence.
Whoa!
You just blew my
Whoa.
mind, Cody.
Slow down. Can we whiteboard this out?
Yeah, whiteboard it out, obviously, with milk.
I can't see the milk on the whiteboard.
White it out.
Yeah, it's,
I'm tearing up.
it's exactly what you said. Don't sweat the small stuff, and I think it's totally a thing that you should live by. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, your life is just going to chew you up, and you're gonna.
But who's
die
to
a
say what's
stressed
the
out person.
small stuff and what's the big stuff?
So
stuff that isn't gonna like hurt anyone or you or like
Let-
it's
let-
just an inconvenience or something frustrating.
Then I would never sweat anything. Because nothing happens to me.
Well, you're a
You
sociopath.
sweat all the time.
No, there are, I think, things we can all agree upon that would be something you should not cry about. For example, let's say you wake up, your alarm doesn't go off, and you wake up late. Are you saying if you started crying over that, you'd be like, look, it's natural? I'm like, no, there's something wrong with you. Something's definitely wrong with you.
Yeah, I agree.
As like an adult person.
Well, I feel like crying can mean like complaining too, or like whining, or like
Yeah. Well, in that case, then no holds barred. because if you take that away from me, I have no more joy left in
Yeah,
my
it's
life.
not. I don't think it's crying like crying.
Really?
It's
Because
like,
that's what I took it as.
I took it as like complaining
Well,
or being,
sorry, I would-
getting
I-
angry.
you're right.
or like
Yeah.
getting stressed over.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
you want to reduce that type of menial ticky tack stuff.
Or here's another one that I like, which is don't make a mountain out of a molehill.
Yes.
Yeah.
And unless that molehill is a mountain.
Okay.
Does that undo it? Does that undo the whole
A
thing?
giant mole.
That's a gigantic moment. Yeah.
Speaking of giant mole,
No, you're wrong. It's a gigantic mole.
Who's got a giant mole? All right, here we go.
Doctor said that to me the other day.
Get that? Is that Taco Bell?
It's a mountain.
All right, next one. If you can't accept me, or if you can, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I know this is Maryland,
I
right?
totally butchered this.
can't accept me at my worst.
Yeah,
at my
if you
best.
can't accept me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. Oh, Jack, you're
I need a stretch.
just stretch for this one.
the old hamstring.
Yeah.
Well, this is the battle cry of every female that most people dislike on social media.
Because isn't this one like
You
just very?
sexist
I mean,
son of a-
correct me if I'm wrong here, but we can probably all universally agree that this one is just so easily debunked that I'm shocked that it's a phrase.
I think 90% of the ones we have, but this one, yeah.
Especially this one.
Well, it's another, again, this goes exactly to what I was saying. It's another ego builder. It has nothing to do with truth, has nothing to do with what you actually believe about yourself, it has everything to do with, I am so great that to deserve me. It has no like real self-reflection or no truth to what you actually feel about yourself or what you would actually hold someone to. Here's the thing. Any girl that posts, because this is like where this comes from. Like it's a Marilyn Monroe quote.
Right.
Lots of girls like to post. Could you see any female that you've ever seen post that actually holding anyone to that standard? No. It's the girl that the next photo is going to be with the dude who's like homeless.
Yeah. Kate Beckinsale.
And it's like, oh, he's like a tattoo artist. Yeah, in his basement with the tattoo gun he made in jail.
Well, yeah, reverse it. Like, say, dude is like hitting the girl. You can't accept me at my worst.
Yeah, that's
you
it,
don't
yeah.
deserve me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the like. Come on.
Well, but that's the thing is what it is implying is my worst isn't that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about this makes me feel good, and I usually don't feel good, so I try any way I can.
It's like someone that would say something like that. Like, imagine if, like, Jeffrey Dahmer said this phrase. He's like, you can't accept my worst, dude. At my best. At my best, I'm a great person.
You don't deserve me when I'm not eating people.
Yeah. But something like that where it's like, again, I'm not implying that people that say this, like, are Jeffrey Dahmer, but...
I am.
Well, Josh is. But it's just like, I mean, people could do really horrible things. So I'm
Right.
like, if this is you at your worst,
Yeah.
I don't care what you are at your best. It doesn't matter to me anymore.
It depends on what the worst is.
Well, here's the thing. Then in that case, the worst better be you slightly burnt my toast. Yeah. Oh, Cody knows.
You hate burnt toast.
I love misogyny.
You hate burnt toast?
Hey, come on. Time and place, buddy. Time and place.
He does.
All right.
Like how Dylan turned against you.
What the hell? Knock
right,
you out after
next
this
one.
podcast.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't know. If I get hit by a truck
Well,
and I'm paralyzed the rest of my life, I'm pretty sure I'm less strong than I was before I got hit by the truck.
I don't think it's supposed to be literal again. I think it's probably talking about like your willpower to live.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have been hit hard by life that are probably not walking away from that going,
this is
you know,
tied to the no regrets thing.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, some people, yeah, life just, yeah, it's like,
It was what doesn't
beat
kill you,
up.
right? Makes you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't have regrets, so therefore they've made me stronger.
Well, it just means that everything I've gone through makes me a better person. Therefore, everything I've gone through has been positive. But what's funny is the people who have gone through some of the toughest stuff, who are like people you'd actually want to learn from and listen to, would never say that. Because they'll be honest with themselves and thus you. Meaning, like, look, there's some things that I've done that were just a minus, just a subtraction. It was something I shouldn't have done. It didn't help anybody. I had already learned that lesson, and I chose to do it again. And yeah, also there's just bacteria.
I also prefer the Joker's version. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger. And I was like, all right,
okay.
I like a little anarchy.
The anarchy thing I agree with, but that goes more to the rules are made to be broken.
Uh-huh. Are you an anarchist? You just want anarchy?
Not for the sake of anarchy. And that's actually when Fight Club came out. I was at the age of the time where every dude I knew, every guy in my peer group was like coolest thing ever, and it was just like it was what was the acronym FSTU? You can bleep it up or something to that effect. But it was like it was missing the point. It was rebellion for the sake of rebellion, anarchy for the sake of anarchy, which literally is what teenagers do. Like, my parents don't let me smoke weed in my room, so they suck. It's like...
Tell us more about your childhood.
Yeah. No, if you have a good reason and you can justify it, by all means. But until you do, you're just a teenager.
Right, Luke?
yes.
Get it, 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 get it.
Highlight.
Apparently.
If that's not in the highlight reel, I'm not watching.
You're 100 viewers.
You're 100 viewers, and you're 100 viewers.
All right, so this one needs context, because the phrase itself is kind of messed up. The context is like when you don't eat your food, someone says, hey, there's starving kids in Africa. So the phrase is literally, there's starving kids in Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but the context is when you're not eating your food.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was such a stupid thing to say. I think Joel said this once. He's like, all right, I could eat my food and there still will be starving kids in Africa.
Yeah.
Or just in any country, but any third world country.
Meaning is don't waste.
Yeah. They don't be wasteful or,
Wasteful.
always
Okay.
take out. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I agree with it. Like, don't be wasteful, but at the same time, like,
Don't depress me.
I mean, like, yeah, that doesn't like really help me.
Makes
I'm not
you
like
feel
optimistic
guilty.
about eating this now.
And also, it means like, hey, you saved all of those kids.
Yeah.
You're magic.
That's when you say. That's when you turn to the waiter. You go, box this up. You mail it directly to Africa.
Yeah. How much money have you donated to Africa?
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's to me that one is translated to appreciate what you got, but there's probably a better way to go about it.
Right. Yeah. I think it's something to where I'm like, why did you have to bring them into this? They had nothing to do with this, and there's nothing we could do about that situation right now. so-
Yeah. I could eat all the food in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's still starving kids in
Yeah,
Africa.
yeah. That's like me. That's like literally like me eating my food and be like, man, I'm full, and then I'd be like, you know what a real problem is? Famine. And you're like,
Yeah. Or it's not like those starving kids in Africa are like, man, I'm glad he finished his meal.
Yeah. I sent him a text. I finished it, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah.
We're not starving
The
anymore.
whole village celebrates.
Yeah. Yeah. I get.
Dylan's full.
I get. Yeah. Like you said, it's just a way for like parents to make their kids feel guilty or something, and I just go like, whoa.
Why do they like doing that?
I'm like, what a jerk thing to do. All right. All right. Another one. This is a classic. This has been a phrase, and I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Josh, you can tell me about this, but this is a classic Beatles song. I don't know if it was a phrase before that or it came from the song, but it's
Helter Skelter.
No. Yeah. Help.
Eleanor Rigby.
All you need is love.
I could tell you about the song.
Was that? I mean, this is a dumb question. Did that?
Hey, there
phrase-
are no dumb questions.
Yeah. Did that phrase originate from that song, or has that phrase always been around before that song?
Definitely did not originate with that song.
Okay, good.
It was maybe popularized by it, but it's the whole flower power movement was that was the battle cry.
Do you think all you need is love, guys? Is that all you
No
need?
food, no drink.
Yeah.
Nope, no drink.
Again,
No
well, like
drink.
if we don't want to take it literally, I mean, obviously there's a lot more you need than just love. Otherwise you'll die. But
Well, and I think what we're getting to is every one of these sayings that has a literal interpretation that is moronic, and then there's a figurative interpretation that has its value. In this version, the literal interpretation is no, you need shelter. Yeah, the figurative interpretation would be you need compassion, you need cooperation, etc. But to put it in context of the Beatles and that movement, it didn't work out too well for them. If history has taught us anything, it's that you needed a bit more than flower power.
do you want some flower power, Cody?
Mario did.
Oh yeah,
Oh
he got
my
flower.
God!
That's right. You get all this like flame coming out of you.
Dude, is that how we ever? Is
That's
that
how
what he
he
did?
said
That's how Howie Mandel does it.
How did he?
That's how Howie Mandel does it.
That's how Howie Mandel spits fireballs.
Yep. I knew it. I was, on my way here, I was like, God, how does Howie Mandel spit fireballs?
I know he does it some way. How does that guy do it?
I can't picture it.
Deal or no deal?
And then I realized I wasn't driving here. I was under a bridge.
Okay,
game show.
two more. If you want something right, you have to do it yourself.
Now, you know what? Of all the ones.
Oh, so
Well-
if you want something done right, I'm sorry, I forgot the done part. If you want something
Depends
right,
on if you know how to do it.
For some people, that's true.
No, here's the thing. That is absolutely true until you need surgery.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that reminds me of, that's actually one of my brother's favorite Adam Carolla quotes, if I remember correctly, which is, I don't want you to do your best. I want you to do my best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, depending on the context. Yeah. And now when it comes to wiping,
You
I-
need
I-
a lot of help.
nobody
no,
does it better.
I will not do it myself.
Hashtag reinforcements.
Send them in. Get them
Send in
here.
the second
It's a
battalion.
military operation.
All right, and the last one, and we've actually talked about this one before on one of the other podcasts. It was love at first sight.
No.
I have no thoughts on this.
Josh has no
Not
thoughts
one
on this.
opinion.
So we again, as we've mentioned before, I don't think I
Romance?
believe in there's lust at first sight.
Dude,
I don't know what Luke. I don't know what Luke's doing with his hand.
Lust at first sight. Go on, Dylan.
Lust at first sight, I think, is what the phrase should be. There is lust at first sight, but love at first sight. Whatever you want to tell yourself that like you fell in love with them, there's no way you can. I don't know if you can equate love to just what made you physically respond.
Yeah. No, and it's the same thing where this is the battle cry of the least introspective. Because if you actually take a minute and consider what you're saying, like I'm 100% convinced if I have 10 minutes alone with anyone who truly believes that, I can convince them otherwise. I honestly believe that because all you have to do is say, okay, then what's the definition of love? Because if that statement is true, all it does is demean what love is. Because love at first sight means I can see them, and that's all that love requires.
See, the
It's
cynic
sight.
in me would say that they would be so stubborn that they'd be like, "No, I'm right. No, I'm right." No.
Yeah, it might be possible, but it's not because they aren't. It's either because they aren't able to conceive what I'm saying,
Right.
In which case,
It's the hill they would die on.
well, because being stubborn means I'm not willing to conceive. In which case, you're an a-hole. If you're not able to conceive, you have like a mental issue, and I should not be debating you.
Conceive or concede?
You aren't able to conceive of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because if you have someone who has all their faculties and is willing to half-heartedly listen, no, because people who say that are, at least in some aspects, like romantics, and they hold love to a high esteem. Mm-hmm. In which case, all you have to do is ask, well, does love mean more than you're able to see at a glance? Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, love is extremely shallow, in which case your whole argument goes out the window. But love should hopefully mean more than what gives me an erection.
Well, their response back would be, "All you need is love."
In which case, I'd be like, you know what? That whole sticks and stones thing.
Gotta break you.
So I got a Louisville Slugger.
I'm gonna break it down.
I'm gonna break you down.
I'm a world
Well,
class
bird in the
slugger.
hand, guys.
Bird in the hand, stick in the bush.
There's actually a
burn
stick in
my
the bush.
hand.
What, there are a lot of phrases out there that I have heard. Again, I don't know
Go
them off
on.
the top of my head right now that I have. Like, I'm sure I can guarantee you I could find at least a couple dozen that I'd be like, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But these ones stuck out to me where I go, huh? Like, I think that one's kind of not well thought out.
Almost all of those are absolute bull. No, it's true. But I agree with you because I have experienced myself being frustrated at not being able to articulate something that is a cliche in a way that isn't cliche. And I'm trying to think of... I don't know if this is the best example, but it's what comes to mind. Is the whole like early bird gets the worm thing.
Yeah,
Because it's so true. Every like book I've ever read of someone who's successful or someone who's worth reading about, like across the board, no one has ever said sleep in. Mm-hmm. No one ever said take it down, get out when you feel like it. It's always, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I got blah, 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 blah done. And before everyone else in the house woke up. And up until the last 2 years, it was absolute a Herculean effort to get me in bed before 1 a.m. and out of bed before 9 a.m. And I don't know what happened, but something clicked, and now I'm able to get up before 6 a.m. on a regular basis, and it literally means it's a world of difference. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I mean, you can hypothesize, but that's a cliche that it's like, no, don't dismiss it because it's a dumb cliche. It's like it's absolute truth.
There's without a doubt, a lot of these phrases do exist for good reason, but that doesn't mean you can't sit there and think about it and be like, maybe by experience you can say this one's actually is true, or by my experience. But this, some of these, I think there was like only one or two in there that were like, that one's actually you can take that one. But most of those you go, come on. Like,
but what you just described is exactly it, which is if you actually think about it.
Yeah, you have to make sure it's equated to your experience. You can't just take it off truth.
If you think, like love at first sight, that's only true if that's the extent of what you think about it. Meaning that's nice. That makes me feel good. I believe it. Mm-hmm. No.
Right, Cody?
Back it up.
Absolutely. Not again.
Got him again. Well, I think that's all the time we have for this episode, everybody out there. So
nope, 1 more hour.
Oh, we got 1 more hour. Sorry, everybody. We're going to be here for quite a while, but while we start this next hour, you should subscribe to that YouTube channel if you are still watching on there. I'm impressed if you're still watching this far.
Yeah.
But if you're also listening, you can or not subscribe. You can follow us on iTunes and SoundCloud, Facebook, and Twitter, and Instagram. We're posting all the time. We've got new stuff coming out all the time, so you should check us out there. And we will see you guys soon. All right, goodbye. That's it. That's all we got.